welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with Michele. Christopher Mack. I absolutely freaking adore you, and I'm excited to spend time in the room. You were with us before on Power of Authenticity. This series that we're kicking off with is Lessons in Leadership. I love your journey and your story. And so when I think about lessons in leadership and someone that can really impact some nuggets to this audience, you were a face and a name that came to mind. So I appreciate your time and spending time with me in the room. So I'm going to kick us off with a quote that you and I both aligned on. And it is, believe in yourself and your abilities. You have the power to overcome any obstacle and achieve your dreams. So when I think about this quote, and there was one other I was thinking about too, it was around that I look back on my younger version of me, right? Decades ago, and where I am today. And when I think about, we become who we are and ready ourselves for the next open door because we do come up against obstacles. And I think if we came through and it was just smooth sailing through all of it, I don't think we'd be ready for the thing, whatever the thing is. And so when I think about that, it's that we are so much more than we ever give ourselves credit for. And we don't really realize it until we're tested. So Christopher, for those of you who don't know, he has a new role since the last time that we were in the room together. Senior Director of Patient Access. And when I was joking with him before we hit record, basically Senior Director of World Peace.
So true.
But you are ready for it and well equipped. So welcome and thank you to this. And this topic is lessons in leadership. So let me kick that piece off, right, as I'm stumbling through this. And it's around, if you look back, pivotal moments in your career. Also, things that if they happen to come to mind for you that you may have done a little bit differently, knowing what you know now. So almost like, what advice would you give your younger self? So that's the series that we're doing right now. So welcome. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Michele, for having me. I loved our last session. I think this one will be great. I think what we should do is I'd love to talk a little bit about healthcare for a couple minutes, and then another topic that's near and dear to my heart. So
I would love that.
A little bit about where Sutter Health is today. It's very exciting time. We have a really energetic, passionate CEO who is really leading the organization through transformation. I'm surrounded by incredible mentors and leaders who inspire me every day right now. I've got an amazing boss. There's also quite a bit of work I'm doing on myself as a leader right now, especially, a former boss of mine at the start of the year said, you're a passionate leader, you're energetic, you get it, you get the bigger picture, but you've got to make a choice whether or not you're going to be an individual contributor leader or a leader with a capital L. And I think that started my year. And I love this time of year, Michele, because you can reflect on a lot of things in your personal and professional life. In my professional life, I started my year with, okay, how do I take myself to the next level professionally with healthcare? And I think it's been incredible to sort of go on that journey.
So I'm really curious. When you think about the comment around, are you an individual contributor leader, right? Or are you a leader with a capital L? What's one thing that stood out for you that needed to change for you to step into capital L leader?
It's very easy to describe. I think because of my career trajectory over the years, I've always been the doer. People come to me, they go, Christopher Mack, they go, see Mack, he's going to get it done. And I accepted that and sort of looked at that as the statue that I put on my mantle of like, I'm a great leader. I think what's changed over the last 8 or 9 months has been really being intentional, being deliberate, and being strategic and allowing sort of space for other people to do the work People want to do the work. It's helping to sort of lead the vision and the strategy behind, what's in front of you. And that, I think, moving from the doer to the influencer was the biggest transformation in that space.
What's the scariest part of that?
I think it was I know this is going to sound really pompous, but I think it was are people going to see my value as a leader still if they're not coming to this person who's always got it, has it done and has it handled? And it was stupid to not see it, but the answer is yes, they see you still as valuable. Mm-hmm. And I think given the leadership that's in my organization today, they look for leaders to be leader with a capital L.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. If we, and right now, okay, because my brain goes to facilitator mode, right? Leadership development. Imagine we're in a room with 50 other leaders. I would literally look out to the room and say, okay, show of hands. Who can relate to what Christopher was just talking about?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because the reality of it is pretty much every freaking hand in the room would go up.
Well, and me as a doer, I would be the first one to raise my hand. Oh, me, Michele. Me.
Yes. But every single leader, I'm not kidding you, Christopher, when you're talking about that, I'm working with another group right now that easily 5 of the leaders, and we're talking pretty high up in the organization, are going through exactly what you just talked about.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that's it, is like, if I'm not the doer of the stuff anymore and I'm not the one solving the problems, what value do I bring? And I think that is that transition from, and I'm going to say from your individual contributor, is this traditional leadership style to leadership in today's world of what people expect and need and where they thrive and they're at their best.
Yeah, no, very well said.
Yeah.
I think since your topic today is lessons in leadership, I think I would love to take us in another direction that's going to sort of, I should almost take my tie off to have this conversation.
Well, I was going to say, you're going to have a different outfit. You're going to be in a different environment, different surrounding. And I think what's appropriate is the quote that we started out with.
Yeah.
Around dreams. Because while this career that you have at Sutter Health, you've been there 24 years.
That's right.
Is a dream of yours. It is not the only dream that you house inside your body and your mind and your spirit. So yes, I would love for us to transition to that.
I think it's interesting, Michele. We get sucked into this idea that we have to be, it's very binary. We have to be parents. That's it. We have to be in our seat at work. That's it, but our lives are, I have multiple things I do outside of work: boxing, tap dancing, stuff with my kids. And I think it's important for us to be able to have diversity, a diverse portfolio of things, especially if it's a passion project. So let me just walk you through a little bit about where I've been for the last 3 years. I secretly, well, not secretly, I went to Malta. I should tell you I'm Maltese. I'm a Maltese American with dual citizenship. I went to Malta in 2019 to trace my roots. I came back, absolutely fell in love with my heritage, all the things that I grew up with, special food, etc. And I thought, okay, the pandemic's here. Here's 2020. I'm going to just open a restaurant. And fortunately, a commercial real estate agent that I was dealing with said, don't do that. Please don't do that. Go to farmers markets or go open a food truck. And I thought a food truck would be really interesting. So the short version is between 2020 and 2022, end of 2022, I went and worked on various food trucks around the country. I got a flavor of whether I would like it or not. And in 2022, I pulled the lever and I bought a custom-made $100,000 food truck and started making pastries that I am selling on the weekends. To do that, I made a firm commitment to myself and my boss that I would never let it affect my career. I made a firm commitment to my family that I would never let it affect my kids. And I did everything I could to not have disruption in my world. So much so that I'll fast forward to now. I wake up at 4 a.m. I go and make pastries at the food truck commissary at 4:45. I come back, walk my kids to school, put on my Sutter Health hat, and it stays on all day long. And then in the evening, relax a little with my family, and then go back and make pastries, only to be able to hawk those on the weekends.
Okay, so I want to dig into this, and
Okay.
I want to bring in the second quote that we have, because it's
Yeah.
going to make sense as we start hearing about that journey, because you made it sound really easy.
Oh yeah, right.
So I'm going to say this: strength doesn't come from what you can do. It comes from overcoming the things you once thought you couldn't.
Yeah.
So when I think about that, and I love I've gotten engaged, and I'm passionate about my roots and where I came from. I was going to do a restaurant, and luckily someone intervened, and said, yeah, no. And then you went into a plan and said, okay, let me go experience this, right? Almost like a mini internship, if you will,
Yep.
to see if it's something that I even like. So then you make a commitment, you pull the trigger, as you say. So I would love, when you think about lessons in leadership, okay, for you to kind of unpack for people listening some of those key points that were along your journey. Because if anyone's following you, what's the name of the food truck?
Oh, the food truck is For the Love of Malta.
Yes.
And let me just tell you, I think, this is going to seem really cheesy, but it's genuine. I think the lessons I've learned from my executive coaches, including you along the way, nuggets I've gotten, the lessons I've learned from bosses, even my former boss, Cynthia Lee, from our CEO, from Warner, from people who've been in my life. I think I took a lot of the skills that I learned, and I said, hey, if I can do this stuff over here, and I can do a workflow, and I can do a performa, I can do a business plan, why can't I just do that with this business? And so the framework was there. I felt like what was cool is when I submitted my business plan to the city of Sacramento, they were like, for a food truck, this is the best business plan we've ever received. I had a workflow. I had what if things go wrong. I had the WIFM included. I mean, I was like, I had every page written out. And so that was the easy part. The hard part came when all of a sudden from Colorado, the food truck that I had built came across the freeway, and the lady gave me my keys and said, this 17-foot beast is yours. And I had no clue how to turn it on. I didn't know how to back it. The first time, Michele, that I had to back up this 17-foot monster, it's a food truck trailer, so it attaches to a Ford F-250, which, by the way, I had never driven a truck in my life.
What?
So no, I hadn't. I've always been a sedan person. Okay.
Here we go.
I'm all of a sudden I'm driving this truck. I have to back it up. Let me tell you this will give you an idea of how hard this was and the reality that hit me. I took the first time I had to back it up into my space at the commissary, it took me 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Well, I believe it. So this is a truck and a trailer.
A truck and a trailer.
Okay, because trailers, so I know how to back trailers up, but let me say this. I know how to back trailers up now. I didn't always know how to back trailers up, and it's completely opposite to what your brain is telling you should be doing.
Yeah. Oh, it's very opposite, and you can hit things. So,
yes. Did you?
Yeah, I have hit 2 or 3 things, including I'm going to apologize if somebody knows this group, but I was at a brewery and hit somebody's handcrafted pizza oven. So yeah, it was it's been a year, but let me tell you, I grew my following on social media in an incredible way. I've had a lot of support from folks in the community. There's a real list of positive attributes. There's also the learning, it's almost like a new language, Michele, learning about a generator, learning about understanding how an oven, I had no clue how a convection oven works in a commercial setting. Understanding the rules and regs around food safety.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like if I've ever felt like an imposter, it has been in this last year, in that I'm operating in a space that I knew nothing about. And the cool thing is, much like in healthcare, lots of really good mentors as well. I was at a food festival. I was at a beer festival early on this year, and one of the local food trucks who's got an amazing reputation saw me struggling, and he came up to me. He goes, "Dude, this is your first day. You're gonna do fine. Keep the smile on your face." Michele, by the end of that first day of mine, I was exhausted and went, "What the heck am I doing?"
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, I love the fact that you're out there being authentically you,
Yeah,
giving it everything you've got, and people are looking over at you going, gonna be okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what kept you going? Because I know that wasn't the only challenge, the running into stuff, the 2.5 hours to back up, there was something with the generator. What happened there?
Well, there's a lot that happened there, but let me tell you the gist. I had no clue that a generator. Now hold on, Michele. I had no clue a generator took oil. So I have this propane generator, this amazing, Cummins generator that, like, is really high end, and it kept shutting down. So I was at an event, I had a huge line, and my whole truck
No.
shut down. And so the folks in my line were like, "Come on, hurry up, blah, blah, blah." And I finally had to go out, shut the window, and I'm gonna lean into some discomfort here. I was so upset. I laid on the floor of my trailer with the doors closed and was bawling. And I thought, I'm a failure. Why did I do this? I just wasted $100,000. And I was so upset. And then I, like, sort of had this moment where I picked myself literally off the floor and went,
Mhm.
"Okay, this can't be, people go through this." The next day, well, so that event I had to shut down early. The next day, I took my generator into Cummins and I slammed my fist on the table and said, "I need a refund. This thing isn't working." And they said, "Well, let's take a look at it." And they came in and they said, "Mr. Mack, we hate to inform you of something, but you didn't put any oil in this." To which I looked at them and I said, "It takes oil?" And they sort of chuckled, and they're like, "You are so lucky you didn't burn out your generator." And on the drive home that day, Michele, I was like, could I be any more incompetent in this space right now? I went home though. I'll answer your question. You said what kept me going.
Yeah.
Took some notes, just like I would at work. I thought,
Yeah.
okay, one time at work, I caught a projector on fire because I had a Kleenex box too close to it. That's not different from what I went through with the
Yeah.
food truck, and I just put a note to myself: must have oil, right?
Regularly.
Regularly. Yeah. So I think it's just really, lessons in leadership. Here's the other thing. I'm the boss. I'm so used to working in an organization Monday through Friday where there's other bosses who can also provide insight or help you when you need help.
Mhm.
And I had to realize that, like, being a business owner, being in the food industry, I am the boss. And the worst thing I can do is lay on the floor and cry. I've got to pick myself up. I sort of thought, what would the CEO of my company do if the lights went out at the hospital? You
Yeah.
have to just move on, you know?
When you're telling your story of what you've gone through and the lessons, like you said, through executive coaching, through all that stuff that have helped you navigate the challenges, because literally you're like, this is where I want to be. So in coaching, it's like, where do you want to be? What's your goal? What's going on? What's getting in the way? Right? How can you unpack what's going on? And so what do you need to step into differently, shift, whatever, take the blinders off? What
Yeah.
assumptions are you making about stuff right now? But I have to wonder, as you look to the role and development that you had and how it played in and informed your CEO food truck life,
Mhm.
how much of what you've gone through in the last year has informed your Sutter Health life?
A lot, actually.
Yeah.
So couple things. And I've actually heard from some of my direct reports feedback that I was like, wow, this is interesting. Since I've opened the food truck, I've been more understanding as a leader of things that go wrong. I didn't even see this before, right? Which is maybe before all of this, I'd say like, hey, this is the way we said this plan was gonna be. What happened, you know? And now I just sort of take this idea that like you can't lay on the floor and cry about it.
Right.
We've got to just fix it, whatever it is. I also believe that I understand this is turning into more sort of psychological than I thought it would, Michele. But I understand I'm in the food truck space. I'm junior. I don't understand what I'm doing. I'm learning. I'm looking around me, trying to figure out what's going on. That's how people who work with me or under me are too. They're
Mhm,
food truck owners. They are coming to work every day trying to do the best they can. And
mhm.
I think it really helped shape a new perspective for me.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised. And I think it's when you talk about lessons in leadership or your own development, whatever it is, it's the ability to take that and apply it to other aspects of your life. Because if you think about it, what does it inform for you of being a parent?
Yeah,
Um,
1,000%. But I guess what I would add, Michele, one other thing is you asked me what keeps me going. And the thing that I started in 2019, the journey I went on, it was very cathartic to go to Malta and then think, wow, my grandparents came here at a very challenging time in Malta's
mhm.
history. They worked very hard. My grandfather, you always get me to cry, Michele. So I'm
I'm
not gonna,
sorry, but I'm going to be right back at you because you
yeah,
do the same.
I'm not gonna cry right now. My grandfather was actually a cook at St. Luke's, which is now a Sutter Health Hospital. But
Really?
um, yeah, early on in the day, he was an undertaker and then a cook. But they worked so hard for my family and for my mom and her siblings that I think that if what would have been like in 1950 1960 somewhere in there to get on a boat, come into Ellis Island, have no clue where you're going, what you're doing, hardly any technology around you, and provide for your family, right? If they could do that, then I can do a food truck. I can be a good leader at Sutter Health. I can be a good parent, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the talk about a lesson in leadership. The leaders who we look at sometimes are the leaders that are in our own circles, our family, our friends, the people who keep us honest. And
Mhm.
I'm very thankful for the lessons they've taught me.
I think one of the Thank you for that. One of the things that stands out for me, Christopher, as you're talking, um, is this, I'm going to say, aspect or dimension to who you are as a leader, um, that you're bringing in giving yourself grace and giving the people that you work with grace.
Yeah,
Because what I hear from you now very clearly is assuming the best intent that people don't come to work wanting to screw up, right?
no,
People, you didn't go to work in a food truck to go, let me see if I can blow up a generator. Let me see if I can, back into someone's pizza oven, whatever it is, right? But it's one of those things that you're doing the best that you know how to do with what you know how to do. And the reality of it is, because we're all in this freaking space, you don't know what you don't know.
yeah,
So when you have well-intentioned people that don't even know that they should be asking about things because they honestly don't know that what they're doing is not everything,
yeah,
you have a level of you as being a leader of forgiveness, of grace, that your people now will step in and not be afraid to fail, which is powerful stuff.
yeah. And look, you did it, unfortunately. You've got me crying because I think the other piece of this, and you know my story very well, is that I had people along the way. I had amazing leadership along the way. I've had incredible bosses. I've had people who believed in me.
Mhm.
And when I accepted that and believed in myself, honestly, Michele, like the possibilities are endless. And I think that when I see people on my teams who they just maybe haven't been given that opportunity, I try really hard to put myself in their position and think like, how can I support them the way people have supported me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Darn you, Michele.
I love you, Christopher.
Ditto.
I appreciate this time with you. I appreciate just you highlighting your two dreams, and literally, and hopefully people listening will realize how what you learn in both of those dreams, or how those things play out, inform the other thing that you're playing out. Because it's and let me just say this, and then I would love to hear, what something you want people to walk away with. Is I had someone ask me one time the difference between like executive coaching and like life coaching kind of thing. And aside from executives, the context of how they're operating in the complex environments and all that stuff, they both come down to the person. Because if you're dealing with an executive and you're coaching an executive, yeah, you've got strategy, you've got all the complexity of what they're dealing with, you've got compliance stuff, confidentiality, all that. But you're still dealing with a human, because the human's the one that's got to navigate through that particular role that's up against them,
Yeah.
as well as life coaching. And I think that's what happens in what you've described here, is that it's about you as the human that's navigating through this and learning through all these things. And how does it inform every other aspect of your life and how you show up? And it's just freaking powerful stuff.
Yeah, I think I watch every one of your segments. I loved the recent one you posted with Teresa Fry, such an incredible example of a great leader. I
Yes.
think when you surround yourself with smart people and empathetic people and sympathetic people, you learn more than you would ever learn in school, more than you would ever learn, you know, you learn the things that matter the most: empathy,
Mm-hmm.
sympathy, believing in people. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess that's been one of the most powerful sort of toolkits, if you will, that I've had as a professional and in my career trajectory as an executive. I feel like the people around me have also shown me how to show up. I mean, if I look
Mm-hmm.
back, you've known me for years, but if I look back and think how I used to show up, if it weren't for the little nuggets I got from leaders and the honest feedback, I would
Mm-hmm.
have never evolved to this. And I'm so thankful.
I don't disagree with anything. I'm sitting here bobbleheading, okay? And the comment that I'll make about that is that you had to be open to the
Yeah.
feedback, because you could have gone through that same experience and gotten feedback and blown it off.
Yeah.
So you have to be open to taking it in, assuming that it's coming from a great place, be able to look internally and go, okay, where's my opportunity? And still encourage yourself to go through and not label yourself like, oh, I'm a failure, crying on the floor of your food
Yeah.
truck. So at several points, we had to pick ourselves up and go, okay, this is well-intentioned feedback, because feedback's scary crap to get.
Oh my gosh, Michele, the worst day of my professional life. I had an amazing executive coach, Michele Payne, with
I love
SEC
her. C
strategies.
strategies.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's so great. And she always would start off with like, "I believe in you. You're doing great." Until we got the results from my 360 Lominger. And when I got those results, I might have shared this with you before, but like, you in your mind, you think like, "Oh, I know what people think of me." And then you get the results, and it's like, even the comments were like, I crawled into a ball under my table in my dining room and laid there for a bit, because and then, similar to what I shared earlier on the food truck, I had to make a choice. Do I sit with this and go, gosh, that's baloney, no way? Or do I really pull parts and pieces from it and think, how can I improve as a leader? And that's what I did. In fact, I used a board similar to behind me, and I said, if these are my blind spots, how am I going to concentrate on them to turn myself around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I love it. You have to be open to it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I appreciate your time. I respect your time, because I know that you've got 2 jobs going, 3 jobs going, probably 4 jobs going. Just I'm thinking about all the roles that you have. What are 1 to 2 things that you want people to walk away with around this topic, around lessons in leadership and the stuff that you've shared?
Yeah, I think one of them, it's going to seem sort of hippy dippy, but it is, if you can get a coach, or if you can get a mentor. Mentors are amazing too, but is really that those are the people you pair up with, and the people who will be honest with you, will really help, push you through. They'll help you take yourself to the next level. And the second thing is that, I know this is like so corny, Michele, but like, if you believe what you want to do, and you lay it out, and you put the framework in front of you, and you're realistic about the dollars and things that would prohibit you from doing things, you can live out your dream. And it is very important to never let that light dim.
Yeah. So there's two things that came to mind for me when you were talking just now. One of them is and so I've done a lot of work around just energy stuff and hypnotherapy and all that, right? So I'm a firm believer in a lot of things, as far as being very clear of what your dream is, right? Because you can't march towards something you're not clear. But one quote that I heard that I was like, this is amazing, is, if you can hold it in your hand, you can hold it in your head. I mean, no, if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. So if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it. So literally, your vision, your dream that was here became here.
Yeah. The other thing, Michele, and I don't, this might rain on someone's parade, but is that it doesn't happen overnight. My Sutter Health career and my career in healthcare happened over 24 years. I started as a janitor, right? My food truck experience did not happen 4 months ago. It started in 2019, and it was realized in 2023.
Yeah.
So it takes time to grow that, whatever that dream is.
Some stuff could happen quickly, but I think it depends on the size of what your dream is, right? To your point. I think the other thing is to give yourself grace on the journey, right? Because I think, but the difference between what you first described at a very high level, 2019, I went to visit Malta, I had this vision, I did my plan, I got my truck delivered, I went and experimented with trucks, and like I was an intern, and then I ordered my truck, and people go, it's great. But when you go a little bit deeper, okay, you realize it was like, oh, learning moment. Oh, another learning moment. Oh, another. And that, to me, is what builds the character and the tenacity and the maturity that evolved your thinking and how you show up and how you engage with people, that I think is the more powerful part of that story.
I appreciate it, Michele. And thanks. You said you're respectful of my time. I'm respectful of your time. And I'm just very appreciative for the fact that you have the series that folks can tune into and listen to.
Yeah, thank you. So until next time, this is
Until
Michele
next time.
Mack. Leadership Soundbites. Please like, share, subscribe. Topics. If you want to come share your story, just let me know. I mean, I think people would love to hear it. So have a great one. Thank you.
Thanks.